Inside Washington's Museum of the Bible, a single volume that is like no other. The so-called Slave Bible, remarkable not for what's in it, but for what's not.
So about 90% of the Old Testament's been removed and about 50% of the New Testament's been removed. To put it another way, a normal King James Version has 1,189 chapters in it. The Slave Bible has only 232.
Missing are chapters and verses that might have encouraged uprisings. Book of Exodus, redacted. No story of Moses demanding Pharaoh, let my people go. Gone is Galatians, and the verse, there is neither bond nor free, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. And no Jeremiah, woe unto him that useth his neighbor's service without wages.
What they've left in are verses such as Ephesians 6:5, which is the famous verse, slaves be obedient to your master.
Looking at this Bible, it's hard to tell that anything's been taken out of it.
That's correct. I mean, it looks like a normal book. For many enslaved Africans, this would have been the first time they were exposed to the Bible.
A Bible selectively edited to instill obedience, using religion to underpin the horror of slavery. When people encounter this exhibit, what lasting impression do you want them to leave with?
But we want to pass the message on that may this never happen again. The Bible itself is a whole book. It's not one that you get to carve up and use this piece or that piece.
The Slave Bible designed to repress rebellion, but it didn't work. Enslaved people in the Caribbean constantly fought against slavery until emancipation.
I think it's very relevant to understand our history, not just American history, but our African American history, our roots and how we got to this point.
A dark chapter in the history of the good book. Jeff Bennett, NBC News.
Welcome to another episode, a Friday edition of the Nick and CJ Show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's poppin', my friends, my family? We are back. Welcome. Friday Nick and CJ Show. This should be a good one. We were discussing the AOC story a bit yesterday, and I remember when we was talking about it, there was people in the chat that was like, you guys seen Kyle's video? You guys see the video for Sector Talk? And I was like, no, I don't really watch them. I haven't seen it yet. But I've seen everyone in the chat mention it, so of course, like I don't really watch the channel, but I was curious. We were signing off, and I watched the video. I was like, holy crap. How are people getting this issue so wrong? And that's the topic, and I'll pass it back to you, CJ, because I've been explaining to people there was a misconception that I had, that many people had, that this burning movement was larger than it actually was.
Right.
Like we thought these people was riding for the same thing that we did. No, a lot of these people, they just wanted to save some money on healthcare. They may want to boost the minimum wage. They don't want to fight too hard for it, but they want some things that can help them out. But when it comes to colonization, fighting the Western U.S. empire, challenging the power structures of capitalism, not interested. Not interested. So we're going to talk about that today. I'll pass it back to you, CJ.
No, that's great. Just to kind of piggyback off what you just said. So here's some of the things we're going to talk about. So the broader topic is the realignment of the Bernie coalition, and you just kind of alluded to it. But it's the broader topic of that is even just the realignment of the left, and that's what we're seeing, where they look at us with disdain if we even think about teaming up with non-democratic supporters or conservatives with particular issues. That's like crazy. And we look at them like crazy because they're teaming up, forsaking their progressive values to team up with imperialists. So you're seeing this sort of separation. And along the same lines of this coalition, the sort of realignment, the same sort of fault lines is between the Reformists and Revolutionists. And you can see that in the coverage of AOC's video about her being a coward. Like you can see their reaction, completely not talking about the substance, and then zero in on Tulsi. And like you and I said yesterday, wish she, that was the one thing I wish she'd never said. And immediately when he said it, in my mind, I was like, that's their out. That's going to be their out. They're going to excuse everything he said and go right into that. But on the same topic, even the AOC. So AOC kind of flows through all of these topics we're talking about. Mehdi, Hasan, and we can add Kyle Kulinski now, plays Captain Sav-A-Politician.
That's the role of the professional managerial class now. The reaction to the AOC story was starkly different depending on the people who still endorse the Justice Democrat strategy versus the people who are advocating for third parties, independents, or essentially anyone who's not a Justice Democrat. Everyone who's not a Justice Democrat or a Democrat in general saw that story and it was like, yo, AOC got dominated. The story to everyone else, the Justice Democrats, the Social Democrats, Kyle, who funded the Justice Democrats, so he's still invested in the project. Their reaction was, oh, let's deflect the conversation and make it about Tulsi. Let's make it about his past. Right. I told y'all, I'm not having that. There is a coordinated effort, and the role of the progressive movement right now is to kill the anti-war movement. Right. The anti-war movement, being anti-war is not inherently left. Being anti-war is left, right. It appeals to a broad audience. The tactic that the CIA left has used is to take anti-war movement, which inherently will bring people with different beliefs. And then they say, oh, you guys can't work together because you guys got different political beliefs. No, we are coming together. We are discussing and being anti-war. And the coordinated attack on the anti-war movement is on purpose. It's on purpose. They want you to advocate caution, go through the proper procedures, go through the proper routes. Like there's these tactics they're doing to kill the anti-war movement.
I mean, I don't know why. And the thing is, Nick, I put this headline. I didn't even know you're going to say that, but that was perfect. The pro-war left we're going to also talk about. But it's funny how they can come up with these reasons, all these like nuanced reasons, Nick, to be like, this is why I can still be called anti-war, but I'm still supporting this war. And they do all these sort of tricks of the trade. Go ahead.
One last thing, because we're going to cover it when we get to the story, but they are being cowards. Like Kyle and all these people are being cowards about this. They are making it about Tulsi, because when you watch the video, the coverage that he did on the AOC story, he started repeating the same MSNBC talking points you hear from Mehdi Hasan on the Ukraine crisis. So that's him being a coward. That's him saying, instead of just outright saying, the reason why I disagree with this guy calling out AOC is because I support funding the Ukrainian Nazis. Instead of saying that, you gotta have some out. Because it was flip in that video. We're gonna watch it. It was flip. He was.
They can't say that.
You see his real position slip out every once in a while, and then they had to get into the smears because they can't address the criticism that's coming from this new anti-war movement that's attracting people that I find disdainful as well. But this issue is so easy to get right. This is the thing: avoiding nuclear war, de-escalating with a nuclear power, calming down tensions with China is such a no-brainer that there are capitalists, people I find despicable, that can speak truth to that. And we're not going to deflect. We're not going to distract from the conversation because that's what people without discipline do. We can have as we form coalitions to end the wars, we can then have these hard conversations. As you guys notice, CJ is not afraid to have. Because CJ had these conversations about people on stuff we disagree with, and then you guys be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you guys called them out." This is what we form coalitions what we agree with, and then we hold people accountable where it matters when that topic comes up.
Even though in the video, Nick, even though in the video, Nick, I'll be like, "This is not calling out. This is people on the same team having a discussion about a disagree." I'll say all of that, and it'll be like I didn't say that. But what's so telling? It's that there's this similar line and it's different categories and it's the same people, Nick. Let me say it a better way. Bernie coalition is split. You got reformists on one side, you got revolution on one side. Reformists are the ones who happen to also be for the Ukraine war. The same fault line. When we're talking about the pro-war left, same fault line. Same fault line when we're talking about class. Same fault line. Like it's the same categories of people that we're talking about. This is literally a glaring sign saying this is a class struggle. These people we're having struggle with aren't in the same class as us. They're just simply not. So they may have some leftist leaning views, but they're simply not in the same category. So coalitioning should be talked about with these people more like single issue. Hey, you guys want Medicare for all? Okay, let's team together for that. On these broad things, let's take down imperialism. They're not for that. They're funding that. And they're okay with AOC doing that, and they come to her defense. Go ahead, Nick.
And to show our consistency on this, look at the people that we drag all the time, the professional managerial boutique leftists. Remember when we had the March for Medicare for All, where 5 of our RBN members spoke, we said at that time, even though we had these strong disagreements with these people, we wanted them to join us. Our criticisms escalated because we realized that they won't join us. So they don't want to form coalition with us, but we are open to that because they support Medicare for All. And now I'm going to tell you guys something I do not buy. I don't buy this idea that if you coalition with someone on an issue you agree with, anti-war, that you somehow legitimizing his other beliefs.
Right.
You guys hear us talking on RBN all the time. I am steadfast in standing for my community as a black man in this country and as a radical who's to the left of 99% of people out there. I had to hold back a lot of time on YouTube in order for us to not get pulled, right?
Yeah, we do.
I had disagreements with most people by the fact that I am so fucking radical. So I have to pick and choose. Okay, we agree on this issue. I may disagree with you on a lot of issues, but we need a coalition bill, right? And then people say, well, if you talk to these people, you legitimize them. They're going to pull you. They're going to infiltrate you. No, they're not going to do that to RBN. We are a group of black radicals, and we form a coalition with people that are forming a coalition with black radicals. It's going to be on our terms. And that is what the left, that what the anti-war movement need to understand. That I've seen for my 30 years of life, this anti-war movement that tries to generate itself, and then the establishment like, hey, look at your differences, guys. Hey, look, that guy's a Republican. You're a Democrat. Why are you marching together? And then dumbass Americans be like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, fuck you, you Trumper. Then the anti-war movement will dissolve. I had enough, right, man. I'm sorry. That's just my position. If you don't like it,
when you can put those same two people that you're talking about, because you said Trump and Biden, oh, now they're fiercely arguing. But if you don't mention it and you talk, go in there, hey, can you guys go in there and talk? And they'll find out, man, we're both having economic problems. We're both having this problem. We both have these healthcare problems. We're both this. We're both that. We both don't agree with them sending all this money to Ukraine. Then you'll be like, wow, we agree on all this stuff. But just because they say Trump, just because they say Biden, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy for us. Like when you and I, when we sit back watching this, we're like, it's so crazy to see this because it's like both of these teams are terrible, like equally terrible. They're all playing a role in the same game, the same puppet show. They're playing a role, and to see real life people in the audience watching a puppet show get violently upset in the audience. That's what it feels like. If we're watching a puppet show, me and you in the back like, this shit is some bullshit. And they all having a fool fight in the audience, really believing that this is a real thing, And it's like, this is so ridiculous. But that's what it feels like. We already kind of started talking about it. But let's go to an official chat check and just kind of shout out some things people are saying in the chat before we officially get started.
And my biggest crime, according to a lot of people, is I have the unfortunate trait that I try to see the best in people. People be like, "Why you had this person? Or why you talk to this person?" Like, man, I'm the kind of person I've always been like this. I'd rather talk to someone, see if I can drag them to my position. We disagree, that's fine. And this overly online leftist culture, I'm not used to. Like this culture where we only gonna talk to.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm not used to that shit, and I'm not gonna adjust in order to win over the most radicalized, most segmented people that don't want to talk to nobody. And people say this all the time. They're like, well, I'm not going to work with no one. Like, motherfucker, I didn't tell you to do shit. I'm doing my thing. You do your part.
Right. You going to do over there by yourself in the corner with a little bit of people that you want to organize with, and we're going to be over here.
Yeah, let the grown talk to people, and you can hide in your little corner. If you want to feel safe, if you feel like your neighbors are out to get you, right? Stay home. and let us talk to people. That's why I don't understand. I see a comment the other day like, "Oh my God, I would never talk to this person." Don't talk to him, then, motherfucker. Don't tell me what do people tell me who I can talk to?
I don't get it, but it to me is just an example of how people don't even understand how they've been conditioned to be in this sort of way. Do you understand? Everybody in life is going to have different positions simply because of how they were brought up. Not just anything else. It's simply what their upbringing was, what their experience was. So allow those people to come to wherever they're at. Now you try to convince them, but with people who are secure in their beliefs, Nick, you're fine with people saying, "Oh, I couldn't convince you." Okay, you can believe that. Like, you're fine with people believing dumb shit, long as you don't believe it. Okay, if you want to continue to believe this dumb shit, continue to do that. Like, that's fine.
And one of the reasons why I had the position I do is because I'm a cocky motherfucker. You guys know it. There are a lot of these lefties, they know they suck at communicating. So they're like, "Man, I can't talk to someone. What if they convince me I'm not right?" Like, I know that if I talk to someone who I disagree with,
that's a shame.
I tell the story about Becky all the time. This white conservative lady who liked Bernie. She liked Bernie. I met her in South Carolina, and she was like super pro-life. I told you, most people on Twitter who met Becky, they were like, "Oh, you can't work with her." But she loved Bernie in particular because she believed in healthcare. She used to call herself she was like, I'm still a Republican. I was like Bernie. After hanging out with her for 5 weeks, I got her to drop calling herself a Republican. Like, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm more comfortable calling myself more of a leftist, social democrat style." And then that's just my confidence that I know we organize on one issue I agree with. I'm gonna drag your ass on some stuff you're weak on, just by you being in my presence, by you hearing RBN talk about this stuff. And I hear it all the time. Like, there'll be white leftists who see my takes on Ukraine or China, Venezuela. They see my coverage on that. Then we talk about reparations one time, they just see them. And then a few weeks later, they're like, "Yo, actually, now I actually heard you guys your conversation. Now I'm more open to it." And that's what I got into this for. So I don't understand the people who only want to talk to people who and that's already in that lane. That's just not what I do. But go ahead, CJ.
And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why we even delve into blue and red electoral politics, that we don't even participate. We're drawing.
People don't know the strategy, CJ.
Yeah, the people we're drawing the people who are in that world, and pepper them what they want to hear about that conversation. And then what else did we do in our stream yesterday, Nick? Which we do all the time. What was the first story? A very serious international NATO story with the kill list, with Ukraine's kill list. You see how we bring in the people who's here to infighting about AOC, and then we talk about something else that's very important.
Yeah, guys.
Like, that's what you have to do to bring people here. So because I hear the people, "Why are you guys always talking about this?" That's because that's the reason. You have to meet people where there are. That's fine. We hear that with people with progressive. Meet people where there are. They're with the Democrats. Yes, meet them there. Don't stay there. You just meet them there and you bring them back. You progressives want to meet them in where the Democratic Party and stay here. No, I can't stay here. They're imperialists. They're racist. They're funding the police state. Like, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, to that great point. And I don't understand. Like, people don't see what our strategy is, and this is why we've been effective thus far. Because people say, "Well, you guys say you don't believe in electoral politics, so why would you talk about this politician on that politician?" Because just the same way that I use the Bernie campaign, because this is an opportunity where people will pay attention to politics when they usually don't do. You use that opportunity to expose the system as being rigged and drag them to your side. So you have people who they ignored the content I did when I covered the Pendleton 2 political prisoners. You did a story about LAPD torture, which our low rating viewed video this week. So if you just leave with that, people are like, "Oh no, that's boring." But we drag you guys in with electoral politics, then radicalize your ass. We got people like, "Oh shit!" Now those motherfuckers more likely to click on the mutual aid videos, the radical video. So you gotta learn how to game the algorithm. I think that's what I feel like we're getting better at, right? But go ahead, CJ.
Right, we want to be in both spaces. like so many people who do this type of thing we're trying to do, they're really strong online and then they're weak in the community, or they're really strong in the community and they're weak online. We want to be in both spaces, and I think it can be effectively done. We're just learning as we go. Go ahead.
This is a great comment. Thank you for this comment, Marcus. Glad to be here with RBN. The Global South is with you. And I want to ask you guys, where are you guys watching us from? Because I get messages from people. CJ know too. Sabi will tell us, people like, yo, shout out from Ireland. Some dude like shout out from India. I'm like, what?
So put your location in the comments and we'll toss it up. So whether it's the state or country or city, whatever, go ahead.
Yeah, so I take pride that we have a very international audience. My people can't come from a region called Punjab, and we are fighting for our country, Khalistan, against British and Indian colonialism. Solidarity, my friend Marcus. That's a great comment. I'll pass back to you. I lost my other comment, but anyway, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, that's great. Great solidarity with those folks over where you are. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into it. And I want to start with what I had written down. So a couple of things, and then I'm gonna bounce off you. So this is what I wanted to say first. So ever since the collapse of the 2020 Bernie Sanders presidential campaign, the distance between those in the reformist camp and those in the revolutionary camp has grown larger by the month. This distance has grown so large that I can't even think of a singular candidate that can bring these two groups back together, not even Bernie. And this is what I mean by the realigning of the so-called left. But what do you think of that? Like, I think that the chasm is. Go ahead. The
funny thing is, if there was a candidate that we liked that was calling out the Ukraine war, then the boutique left would hate him.
Right.
So you're on point. I think, as I said earlier, we thought this movement was larger than it was. There were a lot, and my friend Misty says this. Bernie essentially just convinced a lot of hipster liberals that they're socialists now. AOC and Bernie did not convince a lot of people to turn socialist. They dragged the Overton window what it means to be a socialist to the right.
Right.
That is what happened. And now we had this hard divorce after two elections. Now, after Trump won, there was an illusion of solidarity, right? Because that's when AOC and her sycophants and these frauds, that's when they used to pretend to support our causes, right? That's when they was like, oh, we don't stand for police violence. Was that when AOC cried it with the kids on the border? So when you had the Republicans, when you had MAGA in charge, it was easy to sell that. Then the schism started, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, CJ, because this is my analysis. The schism really started after Super Tuesday, once the Bernie electoral movement ended. So then there are two of us, right? One of us who was serious about political revolution, then the other people who were Democrats. There was Democrats who wanted healthcare. They wouldn't fight for healthcare. They're not going to fight for an increased minimum wage. They just wanted it. If they are asked a poll, we support the candidate that's
check a box. That's what they're going to check.
Marching in the street, quitting a party, building a movement to demand that. Fuck that.
But think about from their perspective. This is what they're thinking. This is what they're thinking, because I know a lot of them, because I've been around a lot of them. They're thinking, I put in the time, the system told me to go to school, which it does. I put the money and all this, and I went to school. I need to make this shit work. This shit need to work. You understand? This plan that I was told as a kid, this plan that I've been working on for 20 years of my life, you think I'm about to just hop out of this shit and jump into some general strike? Oh no, sir. I need to parlay this shit. That's literally what it is. So the pain has not touched their lives, the neoliberal lives that they're I'm sorry, CJ, the neoliberal. Go ahead.
CJ, imagine you spend 5 to 6 years and you're young, like you're still a young adult, right? You're a Bernie organizer, you're still a social dem. You spend 5 years in your professional managerial university and college campuses, building the political connections with people you're going to work with in the future. Are you going to jeopardize that speaking out against the Ukraine war? Because if you imagine if you grew up in the professional managerial bubble, but you were progressive, right? All your peers, even the peers that consider themselves to be liberal, they are all for the Ukraine conflict. Now, I'm using this just as an example. Like, this also applies to Israel, Palestine, and many other issues. This is one very relevant example. Are you going to risk your networking, your social connections? Because all the people who are speaking out against the Ukraine conflict, the liberal establishment are cutting them off. They're losing friendships the same way a lot of Bernie people cut me off. When I said I'm not voting for Joe Biden, you guys out of your goddamn mind. I don't know who you guys. I don't know who you guys thought I was. I was just hoping you guys. There was no that when they cut me off. So are you? And that's the same thing in that same situation there. If you build up this social circle, are you gonna risk losing that by speaking the truth about the fact that Biden is the same as Donald Trump? And I can make the argument that he's more effective. No, even if you agree, because they know we're fucking right. That's why they don't engage with us. They engage with right wingers because they know they're right against them. They don't engage with people to their left because they know they're wrong. So they repeat this. They know this falsehood that Joe Biden is just like Trump, but they got to repeat that Jim Crow Joe, the guy who built and then expanded all of Trump's policies, that he's somehow better than Donald Trump. They have to say that to maintain their social status. There's so many levels of corruption that people don't understand. It's not just corporate money. And once again, this is one thing I didn't understand. I'm not acting holier than now. When I was part of the Bernie progressive movement, I used to think these people were good faith actors because I didn't have this analysis. I think like, yo, these motherfuckers, they risk their jobs for us. Yeah, they're gonna be in the streets. I used to really think that. I think like, yo, once if Bernie loses, yeah, they gonna march America for us. And I reached the position I am now after seeing them abandon us, right? And I see the super chat, and I'm gonna pull this up because it's very relevant, and it also can serve as a segue if you want to, because Bucky left 499. Did y'all see Secular Talk's video on the AOC protest?
Yo, it's coming.
I don't know if you want to do that one here soon.
I'll get it prepped.
Because I watched. We were doing our show on the AOC protest because we had Jose on, the guy who and his friend was calling AOC out, and obviously that went viral. All the shit libs are because everyone they have to respond.
Where is it at now? The last time you checked, how many views?
Not only that, it's the fact that I've seen everybody commentate on it. Like everybody had a take on this. So this video was so scathing and devastating. Everyone has to respond. All the AOC sticker fans. This is one of them moments that exposes what side are you really on? What faction are you on when the going get tough? When something like this go viral, and then that's when you see, Mehdi Hasan running to AOC's defense. You see cows running to their defense. You see all these people attacking this activist, right? And I have many disagreements, I'm sure, with this guy. Right, but they are doing everything they can, and I watched about 4 minutes of this after the stream because I told you guys I want to be honest. I want to be fair to Kyle. I want to watch the video first before I commentate on it. And holy shit, you guys was right. I made it about 4 minutes in, and I rage quit. I'm gonna cover this tomorrow.
Rage quit?
Because, yeah, I did. I couldn't do it anymore. I don't watch that shit. And I'm literally like, I told you guys, I watch corporate media, so I know what my enemies are saying. So I was listening to Kyle talk about the Ukraine crisis. I'm like, yo, this shit sounds familiar. This sounds like the coverage that Rachel Maddow and Mehdi Hasan did. I'm not being fictitious, guys. I'm being dead honest. Like, I'm like, I heard the same shit that I hear when I'm watching any standard MSNBC analysis on Ukraine. But Russia invaded. The conflict started in 2020. We gotta ignore all the context. But do you have the video? Do you have the video?
Yeah, let me do this first because I forgot to do the like thing because we have a good amount. We need to make sure. We're at 310 people watching. Also, let's check and see how many likes we have. But if you're watching now on replay and you wish you saw this on live, make sure you join our Substack. That's how you get notifications for streams just like this. This is unannounced. Nick and I don't always do a stream on Friday. So if you want to get notifications for streams, join our Substack. Again, like our stream. We're at hang on a second. We're at
I think
167 likes. If we can push that to maybe 250, go ahead, Nick.
and we hit 22.3
Right
K
here.
subscribers overnight. Yep. So we did good after our last stream yesterday. So if you enjoy this content, let's keep it up. Let's hit 30K by end of the year. Loving the growth.
Yes.
Let's get a big number for our activist summit, because talking about these unpopular politicians obviously going to do numbers, but we want to get people in for the activist summit. We want to motivate you guys. So let's get some people. Let's boost our number before that. It gives many people watching that as possible. But go ahead, CJ.
All right, so let me before I bring up the Kyle video, I did have this headline prepped because I want to add this in and show you. So the Democratic Party and the political origins of Ocasio-Cortez. I want to read this line: the historical role of the Democratic Party, the origins of Ocasio-Cortez and her attacks on the socialist left must be understood in the political and historical context of the historical role of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has a vast experience in diverting social opposition by trapping social discontent within its reach, where it is crushed. It has at its disposal billions of dollars, mass media channels, and thousands of people whose singular responsibility is to stop social opposition by breaking out of its control. So this article just kind of talks about how this is not new for the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is a 200-year-old party. It and the Tories are the two oldest political party in existence. Okay, so they've been terrible for 200 years, and we think David Sirota, Marianne Williamson think we can vote fascism out. They think we can vote white supremacy out of this party that's been there for 200 years. It is completely just bizarre, and it just kind of talks about some of the parallels of what AOC is doing here. What she is actually doing is just soaping up all the just look at what we're talking about, Nick. I'll take this down and I'll put up the video. Look, we were all together with Bernie. Now look where we're at. You see how many she's able to keep, though? She can't keep all. She's not trying to keep all. She's just trying to keep some. And look who she's able to keep. Even and bring them to the right. Now all of them are preaching war and Ukraine and blue flags and stuff like that. It's just completely it's bizarre. Go ahead, Nick. I have the video ready.
Yeah, so this is, and I when you listen to Noam Chomsky, for example, and like Kyle Kulinski will say that he looks up to Noam. They get like their takes are completely different on this. Like he's repeating the same nonsense that I hear from MSNBC on the Ukraine conflict, where they pretend everything that happened before 2022 did happen, where it's just erasure of basic facts, and you're gonna see it throughout the video. So you can, so this is the I'll pass it to you, Sergio, so you play the video. This is the Kyle video,
This
right?
is
Yeah.
Kyle's video. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even say that, but yeah, this is Kyle's video. So let's play it.
And I don't know, we had to watch the whole thing, but we can watch maybe like I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes. We see because this is
when we ready to rage quit.
We see. Cause I made like 4 minutes in. I'll let you guys know. I made 4 minutes in. I'm like, Jesus. And you guys see why. You guys see why. I try not to stop it too much, but the information that's coming from the social democrats and the professional managerial class on this conflict. And you guys see why Breaking Point's so bad, why Crystal's so bad. They're bad influences all around each other on this issue, apparently.
They have to stay you don't understand.
Go ahead.
No, but I was saying they have to stay in the good graces of the Democratic Party. And what are the things they're willing to sell us out on? Israel and war. And you can't cross the Democratic Party on that. Go ahead.
And it's sad because I still remember Kyle used to do good reporting on the war on terror. But ever since he got invested in the Justice Democrat strategy, he now feels the need to defend these war criminals, these people with horrific votes. And they are downplaying the urgency because what Kyle does in this video, you see a lot of progressives, they're pretending Jose is crazy for bringing up the urgency of nuclear war. and attacking AOC for these votes that have consequences. And Chomsky himself said, many peace activists have said that we are at the greatest threat of nuclear war since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, this is real, and these people just shooing it. But anyway, let's play the video.
If this is how ridiculous, let me put it in a different context. If I came, you and I at the house, and I came running into your house saying, "Hey, nigga, there's somebody outside with a gun. This nigga shooting. This nigga doing all this stuff," and then I say, "We should do what R. Kelly did, and let's get away." Because I said R. Kelly, are you gonna ignore the big thing I just said? You see what they're doing? You said Tulsi Gabbard, and they're ignoring the fact that I just said there's somebody outside shooting with a gun. Wouldn't you put that the level of a nuclear war, making the decision to fund nuclear war? Would you put that at that level, like something that's very important? Right. But that's what they're doing. Like, what about the warning about the guy outside? Gotcha. Yeah, R. Kelly, I shouldn't have. Yeah, let's not do what R. Kelly said. Okay, yeah, it's a bad example, but what about the shit I said about the guns outside? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's so bizarre.
You see this comment? This is a great comment from Marcus. He said, RBN taught me about the Ukrainian hit list. We were one of the few people that brought that up. We had Wyatt Reed, who was on the hit list. And I promise you, Cal Kulinski never brought that up. In this video, how many times is he going to bring up the journalists that Ukraine have been going after by showing their hotels? How many times is he going to mention the Ukrainian citizens that the government retaliated against for, quote unquote, having pro-Russian sentiments? The bodies of mass graves that have been found, that people that have been killed by the Ukrainian forces. Amnesty International literally saying that Ukrainian forces are setting up shop at civilian areas, endangering them. So these details are purposely left out by these people for what? I'll let you guys fill that blank in, but let's get to the video because
breaking points.
And you guys can see
breaking points. Hey, breaking points. Crystal and Sagar, we know Wyatt. So if you don't have his line, just hit us up. You can call him. Have a live person talk to you about what's happening out there, so you don't have to keep just looking up, websites online like Euroweb or whatever they're reporting from. Like, there's actual journalists that you could bring on who can talk about what's going on out there instead of you just going off these fake articles. But let's play the Kyle video. You let me know when you want to stop. Oh, volume. There we go.
Doing in a
Sorry, let me start because the volume, it missed like 3 seconds.
All right, guys. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was doing an event, a Q&A event, and it looks like it's probably from her district in New York, although I'm not 100% sure. But this video is going viral on Twitter because she got confronted by anti-war protesters. Now,
You said you want to respond here?
No, I was just laughing. I like it going because he's like this video. Look at his tone there. This video's going viral.
Now I
had to respond. God damn it.
And you could tell, like, how much you want to bet before he saw the video, he's going in. I'm seeking to see how I can get AOC out of this shit.
Yep.
So he's watching it through that lens. And let's 100%. Continue.
They don't put anti-war in air quotes. I'm going to put anti-war in air quotes. So let's break it down. Let's see what's fair, what's unfair, and all that stuff. And we'll try.
I just noticed what he just said. Because in the caption they put by anti-war protester, he put the guy who's fine with all of this shit going on. I just find it funny, like the audacity to make that point.
So he's so mad, bro. He's so mad. Jose got on AOC, but go ahead, CJ. He's so mad
and all that stuff. And we'll try to see who's right, what makes the most sense, etc. Let's do it.
To see who's right and who makes the most sense. So he's already setting the lines up.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because there are a bunch of war hawks. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as...
Let me pause it already, because this guy saying Tulsi Gabbard left the Democratic Party because they are war hawks.
See, this is where he fucked up.
That is not the only reason.
See, this is where Jose fucked up, and I said it to his face too. Sean brought up Tulsi here because I give these weasels a now. So, and
this is his friend. This is the other guy, though. This is not Jose yet. Jose comes in second. Yeah, but
okay, yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
So yeah, that's where he messed up, and that would Kyle's gonna take advantage of. That will all these AOC Justice Democrat sycophants gonna take advantage of. But that also, what they don't realize, that reflects on them too. Because why are you so desperate to shift this conversation? Yes, that's a bad example, but let's focus on the core issue. Why are we being unserious? That's why I was, when we had him on, I wanted to focus on this issue. We can say we disagree, but after that, we move on because we don't want to distract. But anyway, let's continue the video.
She left the Democratic Party. That was one of 5, 6, 7 different reasons why she left. And most of the reasons why she left were actually right-wing criticisms. Stuff.
Okay. So, but the criticism is war. So
Yeah,
what is the point that you're making? You get what you see how that's not a point? You just said, yes, she did mention that, but she mentioned other things. But that was one of the reasons. So you get what I'm saying? It is one of the reasons if that's the point he's trying to make.
They are saying that Tulsi left because the Democratic Party is pro-war. And there may be other reasons why Tulsi left. But the activists are saying to AOC, you should leave the party because they are pro-war. That's the point. And Kyle and everyone mentioned that. So I see a lot of people in chat. Tulsi Gabbard is not anti-war. We all know, everyone who's serious knows that. We all know her record. The point is, Tulsi Gabbard left the Democratic Party because her reason is the Democratic Party is pro-war. So why won't you? That's the point, and everyone is ignoring that. So even if he is wrong for bringing up Tulsi, the point is that Tulsi said she leave for that reason, so you should too. But go ahead, let's play the video more.
Right, and maybe that's the reason why that's the only reason they said of why Tulsi left. Is to say because of their war hawks. So they're saying for that singular reason, you should leave also. Right. So that is the point. But they want to look, look past that part and zero in on this. It's just I just find this response where you're not taking on the point so intellectually fragile. It's you can only have this response if no one's in the room with you to respond back. Because if you're in a room with somebody, if he's here talking and saying this, we'd be like, oh no, this is bullshit, and just rip it apart. You can only say that in a room with nobody else to push back, because it's so easily just okay, but what about her leaving because they're hawkish? And here's the problem also, Nick. It's not like they can go and say and point to that the Democrats aren't. The Democrats are in office and they're the ones that's pushing nuclear war. That's the point. So what can you say even to point out the Republicans? Both of them are war hawks, but who right now in power is pushing the envelope the most? Who? The Democrats.
Exactly. And you look at the title of the video. I was not realizing it. I probably should have realized this earlier. But even the title of the video is fucking so swarmy, and oh my God, he's such a weasel. Because he doesn't bring the title of the video should be AOC called out for Ukraine votes. You know how he doesn't even bring up the main topic of discussion? Not in the title. It's all about the tribalism, baby. AOC versus Tulsi fans, right? But go ahead, let's play the video more because it get worse. It get way worse. We're only about 90 seconds in. It get way worse.
But this is the professional. And if I didn't spell that right, let me know. This is the professional managerial class sending out their bat signal. AOC, we got this. You cool? You coming on in 3 months? Cool. We got this, AOC. That's what this is. This is them saying, hey, we got to come to bat for our class. And that's why they all stepped up. Because if you go through their videos and see how many did a video when she voted for NATO. See if you can find one. I know Humanists, somebody did one because I found it. Nobody else. When they're doing these bad votes, nobody says nothing about anything. Very funny. Let's continue.
Stuff like, oh, they don't care about religious freedom. They don't care about the rule of law. Stuff that honestly is garbage. And if you don't take my word for that, go and watch my full breakdown of Tulsi's announcement that she's leaving the Democratic Party. Now, since that happened...
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, you already did.
That's the video I was talking about. That video that he just referred to is the one that I was watching earlier that we may want to bring up because he believes he's painting a picture that somehow Joe Biden or the Democratic Party is like significantly better or different. And it's just, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I never understood people that even listen to this person because his logic is like a house of cards that is just easily just collapsed. And I don't get it, but let's listen some more. You let me know when you want to stop.
It's muted, CJ.
Oh, my bad.
New Hampshire Senate candidate. There are some people who think, hey, Tulsi's leaving the Democratic Party and she's going to, whatever, like join the Green Party or join some other left-wing third party. And that's why she's doing it, because she's so principled and she's still criticizing Democrats from their left. That's not true. That's not true. Tulsi has for about a year now been
2 minutes in, and this motherfucker had not even brought up the fucking issue
actually
yet.
From their right, not from their left. Like when she said about Build Back Better, that, it's big government spending and the government's already too big. That's a right-wing criticism. There is no other interpretation of that. That's just what that is.
Bro, shut the fuck up.
What is the
No one
point?
cares.
What is the point in that?
No.
What is the point in interjecting this here? That's the question. Do you understand this, Nick? Like, what is the point in interjecting all of this?
And a lot of the stuff in Build Back Better was stuff that Tulsi had previously supported. Stuff like universal pre-K and elder care, negotiating for lower prescription drug prices, Medicare expansion. So for her to say that's big government, so I don't like it, that's a right-wing criticism. For her to say Democrats don't care about religious freedom, religious liberty, that's a right-wing criticism. I don't know why you would seize on the one thing which was nominally a left criticism, which is, oh, the Democratic Party are war hawks. But then she also immediately stumps for Republicans.
He said that's nominally a left criticism. Nominally.
Party is also full of war hawks. In fact, it is worse. Trump had a worse foreign policy than Joe Biden does.
Dude, at this point, I'm convinced he's talking so long just so people can forget what the original topic of the video is. At this point, what does this have to do with anything that Jose said with AOC? And I'm gonna show you guys a tweet after the video of AOC responded, bring up some irrelevant story about some other protester interrupting the event. And the strategy from her camp is to do not address this. You do not answer to those peasants. Yes, I'm gonna vote on something that's extremely important, an extremely important geopolitical issue, but I'm not gonna explain it to you guys. That's an unhinged position to take as a politician. You're gonna vote on war. You're gonna vote on billions of dollars for anything. And then when people ask you, can you at least tell us why? Fuck you. Who the fuck you think you are? You think I'm gonna explain? You think I'm gonna explain myself to you? So the reason why they do that is because they know Kyle Kulinski's, the Walker Bragmans. Someone left in the chat. David Pacman came out with a video today. Just said Tulsi fans talking about so AOC, and I'm taking the comment to war for it, so I'm being risky with that. But We have
unserious,
right
so
now,
unserious.
and this is why RBN is so threatening to these motherfuckers, because there was a giant progressive wall that is here to defend Bernie Sanders and AOC at all costs, and AOC and the squad knows that walls exist. They know it exists. So AOC's like, I'm not gonna say shit. No, I'm not gonna say shit about it because I know Cal Kulinski gonna cut for me.
Right.
I know Walker is gonna cut for me. I know all these people are gonna cut for me. So I don't have to explain myself. I got a whole army of independent media careerists that gonna defend me. But let's play the video some more because like we haven't even got to the substance. 3 minutes in, I'll tell you. I promise to God, they do this on purpose. I'm gonna tell you guys something about YouTube. I know I've been YouTube game about 2 years now. All YouTube commentators understand that most people watch maybe the first 30% of the video. A lot of people watch the first 30% of the video, and then numbers start to drop off. And that's just it's just a fact across all YouTube channels. There's a big drop off because people got ADD like a motherfucker. People click on videos, and I do this all the time too. People will click on videos, they'll watch the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then they'll like, all right, I got the gist of what happened there, and they'll move on. I know this, and every YouTube commentator will tell you this because the analytics will tell you that, right? So Cal, being a veteran, knows the first 4 or 5 minutes is extremely important. So what did he fill the first 4 or 5 minutes with? A bunch of bullshit that has nothing to do with what AOC was called out for. Very calculated. I don't get these people benefit out. But let's continue the video and let's see if he actually dives in on something worth a goddamn.
And to stump for a Trump-aligned candidate, I mean, okay, this guy supports Trump. What did Trump do? 432% increase in drone strikes. Ripped up the Iran deal. Tried to do a coup.
Who is he talking about as a Trump supporter?
It doesn't even matter at this point. It doesn't even matter.
I don't understand. That's what I'm trying to get to. I was just about to say, like, what is the relevance of whoever he was referring to as a Trump supporter? What is the relevance of AOC voting to fund NATO? AOC present vote on Iron Dome. AOC sending money to the Ukraine. What is talk about that? These people are so weak, intellectually weak, and I think they know it, Nick.
Coup in Venezuela. Bombed Syria, occupied part of Syria, and was stealing their oil. So Walker Bragman breaks this down. Gabbard's guy, Army General Don Baldick, doesn't think Medicare negotiating drug prices is a good thing. In fact, we covered this story recently. He was on Fox News saying, I can't wait to roll that back.
Move the fuck on.
He actively wants higher drug prices. Tulsi's stumping for him. And wants to end the direct election of senators. He opposes legal abortion, has promoted Trump's big...
So this would be like, you know, the Jackson, you mentioned in the Jackson 5, and when they were small, and Michael Jackson is talking, and Jermaine is talking, and then that person just skips over them with the mic and goes to Tito and be like, Tito, forget Michael, let's talk to you. Like, why are you missing the main point? Like, you're intentionally and going down the path. He's not saying, oh yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, she's pro-war, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're getting receipts of receipts and then receipts of other receipts to prove a non-point. To prove a non-point. This is so freaking
big lie
ridiculous.
And suggested that COVID jabs are installing microchips for Bill Gates. Well, that's nice. That's glorious. Really cool stuff. All right, let's run this back a little bit.
Nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because there are...
Now, he said two things. He said the Tulsi Gabbard part, but he said you voted to send arms to Ukraine. Where is his... Why aren't you addressing that part? So let's continue.
Okay,
I'm sorry, you saying something?
So I'll be real quick. I want to let the video play. What a real commentator would do, someone who's acting in good faith, they would say, all right, let's analyze what's the pros and the cons of sending weapons to Ukraine, why AOC did it. Is that the right thing? No, at no point does he does this. But let the video continue.
Originally voted, you ran as an outsider. Yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine.
What?
You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China.
That is massively overstated. Who invaded who?
He didn't say it's a lie. He said it's overstated, and he's about to break it down. It's overstated because of who started it. Is that what you're about to go down this path, Kyle? This is terrible. I've never understood why people listen to this person, but this is one of the least effective intellectually arguments I've ever heard about any sort of topic.
I told you I made it 4 minutes in. Look at the timestamp right now. This is the part when this is the exact point where I was done.
Rage quitting.
I was like, this is so fucking stupid. He's like, who invaded who? The United States, motherfucker. The CIA was arming Nazis in Ukraine, and you had intelligence agencies from the UK and the US in Ukraine as early in 2014. So define what it means for a country to invade. I would say it's the CIA backing the Nazi militias that was bombing Ukrainians. And he purposely leaves that out. Purposely leaves out the Minsk Accord. They always do this. They purposely leave out information. So then they can say, oh, I wasn't lying. I just brought up the fact that Russia invaded Ukraine, which is true. But when the United States entered World War II, you didn't say the United States started World War II. They entered the conflict. You can criticize Russia if you want to for entering the conflict. But that is what they did because they saw the ethnic Russians being purged by the Ukrainian state that was government sanctioned. You had these regions that Russia liberated that wanted, you had these regions in the Donbass that was asking for Russia to annex them. They didn't vote and already approved of that before. So then Russia, all right, after denying them before, we're finally going to engage and listen to the Russians in eastern Ukraine that are being subjugated. But Kyle doesn't bring up any of this shit. But rewind like 15 seconds, let him go, because you guys can hear how horrific his coverage on this. I'm like, oh, he's Mehdi Hasan. He's Mehdi Hasan. If you watch Mehdi Hasan coverage on Russia, Ukraine, you get the exact same shit you about to hear from Kyle Kulinski right now. But let the video play, CJ.
Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks, okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine.
What?
You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China.
That is massively overstated. Who invaded who? Who invaded who? Russia invaded Ukraine. The U.S. didn't invade Ukraine. The U.S. didn't invade Russia. Ukraine didn't invade Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. So in the wake of Russia invading Ukraine, why is it a bad thing to give them defensive weapons?
Why is it a bad? The white left. The question for the white left is why is this a bad thing to arm Nazis? So do you guys think we're overstating the difference between us now? Why is it a bad thing to arm the people that been shelling and killing ethnic Russians that torture people who have political disagreements with them? That's Kyle's question. Why is it a bad thing to arm Nazis? Unbelievable. Now let me get to another point that Kyle, being lazy and being the propagandist that he is, he just brushes over. He said you are voting in the video. You don't have to rewind it, but he said, AOC, you are voting to escalate nuclear war with Russia and China, and then Kyle gets triggered and then proceeds to say nothing to rebuke it. So he didn't mention the China part. So AOC and the squad voted for weapons to Taiwan, which is a direct red line of China, which does what? Escalate the risk of nuclear war. So Kyle has no idea what he's talking about here, because when he says that, he's like, what are you talking about? He probably doesn't even know about that vote because he's so busy covering Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. He's probably doing a total reaction video. These people have no idea about what's going on in the world, and it's obvious.
Yeah, you go look at their content. You go look at their content. It's the Candace Owens. Like, we covered that and we cover both. We do a lot more content than them, though. But That's what we
No,
do.
they
Anyway,
do a lot. They
let's
do a lot of content, but they just cover bullshit. Because sorry,
Yes.
CJ, go ahead. Because
Especially
they pop
TYT.
like 8 to 10 videos out per day. Like 7, 8 of them motherfuckers are about, hey yo, why Ben Shapiro was wrong here. Dave Rubin exposed. Robert Wright slams on Tucker Carlson. It's always some bullshit. Guys, look at the videos. When you look at what we cover, yeah, we talk about fun topics every once in a while, but we got an activist summit coming up next week. I was doing stories on Black political prisoners. You doing stories about prisoners being tortured and that being allowed. We covered the police state. I covered the apartheid state of Israel. I did countless segments on that. Like I cover state violence, the class war. They cover a bunch of bullshit, and then they mislead their audience about what's in these fucking bills and what these people are voting for. Because Kyle, what he did just there, and I pause it. I want Kyle's argument to be played a little bit longer. But what he did there was he took his argument and said that's ridiculous, when that is definitely something AOC and the squad did by voting for weapons to Taiwan. And I'm going to explain something to Kyle and Voss because you guys don't understand. The reason why we are not in nuclear war is not because of the United States. We are not in nuclear war because of China and Russia. They keep allowing the United States to cross the red line without nuclear retaliation. And I covered this months and months ago. And we get back to the video at this last point. Russia, and I covered this in April, said Sweden and Finland joining NATO is such a red line that the nuclear option is on the table. They said that. Then Finland and Sweden, they start voting to implement them into NATO, and then Turkey folded, and then Russia backed off. And do you guys hear that from Kyle Kulinski on the mainstream media? And you can still find this article. I can pull it up quickly after this video, where they threaten nuclear war if Sweden and Finland join NATO. Then the West say, I bet you won't do it, you fucking pussy. I bet you won't do it. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. They did it in Russia. Like, these motherfuckers are crazy. So you guys see, it's on, according to Kyle Kulinski and according to the Western chauvinists, it's upon Iran, it's upon China, it's upon Russia, it's upon Venezuela, and all these countries are victims of Western colonialism and imperialism to be the people that constantly de-escalate, while the West can do whatever the fuck they want, and then the people who respond are criticized. That's
the strategy of white supremacy. That's been the strategy. You retaliate, you're the violent one. That is actually the strategy. Let's continue, though. Let's listen to some more.
Now, look, I've told you guys this. After the first 2 or 3 packages, I would have started to wrap it up a little bit. You know, at this point, we've had, over a dozen packages sent to Ukraine, and it's been somewhere between $50 billion and $80 billion worth of weapons sent to Ukraine. Yeah, I agree that's overkill. And yeah, I agree that's probably because...
Oh, wow, Cal. Cal, I'm so impressed. Cal said he would only fund Nazis $50 billion.
This is yes. He was saying this is him criticizing. This is what he was. We say you don't criticize her. He was like, yes, I do. I said she should have packed it up a lot earlier than that. He literally thinks this is criticism. This is him having his kind of doing his anti-war chops. Exercising his anti-war chops by just doing this. Go ahead.
He's like, CJ, I'm going to show you guys how radical I am. This is me throwing them a bone. That's them throwing us a bone. And I'm going to show you guys how radical I am. I disagree with AOC and Bernie. I will only fund Nazi $50 billion.
It's unserious, man. This is so unserious. I play it.
Enriching the military-industrial complex. That's probably the thing that they care about first and foremost. So I don't deny that it's overkill, but to say that this means you want a nuclear war, what kind of bullshit is that? If the United,
I think Nick kind of laid it out already. What kind of bullshit is that? I don't understand, why are we trying to operate in this small area of nuance here? You get what I'm saying? Like half of that, why are we trying to operate here as leftists? Why aren't we? And it's because of 2 things, I think. In particular, him access to these people. He doesn't really criticize them. You know why? What happened when he really criticized Bernie? Remember how he got kicked off his own show? You think Kyle's going to do that again? You think Kyle's going to do that? And he still kisses his ass. And I did a stream on that. How Kyle is very weak. What's up, Savvy? How Kyle's
Yeah.
very weak on that point about how are you still clucking after Bernie after he did that to you?
Man, that's what's
Weak.
about for them. This Savvy style, I'll read a comment. We get back to the video. That's why he won't come on RBN. He won't go on any channel that will challenge him from his left. I'm not really interested in talking to him, if I'll be honest. I'm down to talk to anyone though. But yeah,
he's not like number on the list.
The reason why these people do these solo shows, they will never have discourse and dialogue. And then whenever kind of like, oh, I'm gonna do something special, man. I'm gonna have a guest on. We're gonna have Vosh on today. Like they could have some other Western chauvinists on. I remember all the social democrats were like, oh my god, the Kyle and Vosh collaboration. So Kyle used to stand behind the screen. Yeah, bro. I told you I'll be breaking shit to CJ.
I don't know none of this.
That was like a year ago. But they only stayed in their circle, and then people think like, oh man, they really got the game figured out. No, they just don't. They are not challenged. There's no intellectual curiosity here. They're not going to question the narrative. They will question the old wars, right? They will look at like, oh man, the Iraq War, that was bullshit, wasn't it? The Iraq War in the 90s, that was bullshit. Vietnam was bullshit. And then when war propaganda hits today, they fall for it. They always happen. They always fall for the current shit. Then they look back like, yo, that was the old war.
Yeah, because they look back at 9/11. They look, oh yeah, that was some bullshit. But back then, nigga, you couldn't say nothing wrong about invading. You couldn't say nothing because I remember I was working at AT&T. Everybody there, manager, they was like, yeah, and I was the only one like, nah, this shit is some bull. And they was looking at me, and it was like, and then like they would say stuff like aloud, but not to me. Yeah, well, maybe if you think this is wrong, maybe you shouldn't live in the United States saying shit like that because I was against that shit, and I couldn't like that's how it was. But now everybody had it right? That's now everybody. Oh, I had it right. I had it right.
And watch in like 4 or 5 years. Once it was clear that we was right and we are winning the public war on this. This is why you see protests that are being silenced in Europe. Like I covered the protests in France, the anti-NATO protests in Germany. Like there are protests everywhere that are being silenced. Meanwhile, Putin has a setting. They did a corporate media story. I think I covered it on. I don't remember, but
I remember you talking about it.
I did cover it. It was like Putin, he losing support over the Ukraine war. He used to have an 80% approval rating. Now his support is in the mid-70s. Nigga, do you know what Joe Biden's approval rating is? Do you know what the approval rating is?
Less than half of that. Less than half that.
So, because Russia, they know what's going on. In the West, they've been propagandized. Now they are seeing the economic consequences of this. And winter haven't even hit yet. That's the thing. It haven't even got as bad as we all project it's going to be. So, tick, West. Tick.
Especially in Europe.
I'll get a little off topic here. But
let's continue. Let's continue.
The United States sent weapons to Palestinians to defend themselves against Israeli aggression. Would this guy say, "Oh, you're a war hawk.
Did this motherfucker really compare? Did this motherfucker the audacity of these white leftists? I didn't even hear this part. I've been rage quit by now. This motherfucker
let me rewind it so you can hear it again.
This motherfucker just compared the occupation of the Palestinian people to arming Nazis. These are the people say are our closest ally. Are you fucking serious? Say this to any Palestinian leftist, you get punched right in the motherfucking face. I'm gonna talk to my friends right now. Like, you see what this motherfucker just said? Go back 10 seconds. That's unbelievable. I did not see this.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, you didn't get this far. So this is all new for you.
This motherfucker compared the occupation of Palestinians to Nazis.
To say that this means you want a nuclear war. What kind of bullshit is that? If the United States sent weapons to Palestinians to defend themselves against Israeli aggression, would this guy say, "Oh, you're a war hawk, you're pro-war"? My guess is no. My guess is he would understand. Well, that's those.
I know this does not have to be said to our audience here because you guys are smart, but I'm sure you guys understand the difference between arming Nazis who was killing, shelling, and torturing Eastern Russians to arming a potential movement of people who are being colonized, being victims of imperialism.
Right.
There's just a story I saw on Democracy Now! I watched this earlier today. Another 14-year-old boy was just killed in occupied Gaza. Literally 160 Palestinians dead in Gaza this year. And he's comparing that to the Nazi army, the Azov battalion, and this conflict that's been going on since 2014. This is unbelievable. This is some shit that I think what Ben Shapiro was to say. These white leftists are the exact same thing. They are same as the people they criticize. This is an unbelievable statement. And I know
Nick, and the thing is,
I wasn't prepared.
they throw Palestinians under the bus when they want to go vote, but now you're trying to use their pain in this way. He's trying to say, for those that don't understand what he's trying to say that what Russia, this war that Russia going into the Ukraine is the same thing of what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. That's what he's trying to compare. That is such an intellectually infantile. I've never heard of such a ridiculous analogy. I say a pretty ridiculous analogy sometimes, but that is probably some ridiculous. That's some ridiculous shit right there.
All right, I'll let it play for a bit now because I told you at this point I'm in new territory because I quit around like 4:45. I remember, so that's why I had
Those
this
are defensive weapons.
That's an unbelievable statement. I'll let it play.
Yes.
Jesus.
So that's very different by its nature because it is defensive. But now all of a sudden you're saying this is, she wants nuclear war. She wants World War III. I have many criticisms of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Sure.
I was criticizing her during Force the Vote. I was annoyed that she voted for Pelosi to be speaker.
He didn't say criticize. He was annoyed. That means that was a feeling he had internally.
She cast some terrible votes on the issue of Israel-Palestine. Like, I've criticized her. You can go back and check the Secular Talk YouTube library, but this criticism just doesn't make any sense.
This is sad, Nick. People listen to this guy. This is sad. This is sad, bro. This is sad.
You're playing with the lives of American citizens. You're playing with our lives. There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth.
You know that Kyle's not chiming in right now?
Right.
Why if Kyle was doing a neutral analysis on this, why is he saying, oh yeah, he makes a good point here. You're a socialist. Why are you funding these people? You know that when he does not have a response ready for this guy, he lets it play.
He chuckles. He chuckled. So I'm gonna rewind it. So for a beginning where not just to hear the chuckle, but just so you can hear of the beginning of what Jose begins talking here. But you hear Kyle chuckle because he doesn't, and he just lets it play.
Library, but this criticism just doesn't make any sense.
Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives. There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist.
Oh, wow. I did not hear that. Well, wait, hold up. So he pulled a Robbie. Robbie.
Yes,
so
that's what they do.
This is something we've been talking about recently. What does it tell? These cocky white commentators.
The laugh. Yes. The laugh is trying to disrespect like that's, yeah, right. like it's that kind of look, that peasant sort of response.
And
Go
CJ,
ahead.
remember, it also a tell. We explained this on multiple shows recently. When you see my debate with Robbie, where you chuckle when I was landing truth bombs. Whenever someone tells the truth to someone left and they can't rebut it, it's like almost a tick.
Right.
But,
Kamala Harris does that too.
Go back 10 seconds. He makes a powerful point about you being a socialist but funding Nazis. So then he just chuckles because he knows it's a good point.
You know why? Remember, and it's also to the point that I made, which is criticizing AOC is criticizing Kyle. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So it's him telling Kyle, you're a socialist? You support sending money to Ukraine, so
Yes.
he laughs like, "Wow, yeah, I am." So that is a personal. It is incoming in like fire coming to him. That's how Colin's taking this. But listen, I think it's the right place.
Yeah, we can let play a little bit.
This criticism just doesn't make any sense.
Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives. There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist.
Oh, that hurt.
Where
That
are
hurt
you
him
against
bad.
the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth.
This is unbelievable. Who invaded who? Who invaded who?
He waited. He made all the good points because he didn't want to address those, and then just said, "Who invaded who?" That's your response for shots fired is who invaded who.
And remember him while saying the segment. This is exactly the same thing that MSNBC guest was saying in response. It's almost like a chant. He had no response for her calling out the socialist for funding Nazi. So he goes back to his tick. Who invaded who? Who invaded who? Who invaded who? It's like a tick they had to say because you got no other argument. We play one more minute, and then we can move on because we don't have to.
Yeah, then we can. Yeah,
I think we covered a good part of it. Like let's play just like another minute or so, and then we can wrap up the segment.
Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia did the imperialist action. That's what happened.
NATO did.
Now, I never would have expanded NATO in the first place to give them an excuse to invade, but it's very clear based on Putin's own words that he was probably going to do it anyway.
I think that's the last part. Let's see.
Yeah,
You can chime in on that.
He just dismantled his own argument. So this is a good point to end on. He just dismantled his own argument. He's like, yo, I wouldn't have expanded NATO, but Putin invaded for no reason. Why would Cal, ask yourself this question. Let's use some critical thinking. Why wouldn't you have expanded NATO? He just said it, CJ. Cal said, if I was in power, I would not have expanded NATO. You would not expanded NATO. Why, Cal? You won't expand NATO because that would lead to Russian aggression, which means that's you debunking your own argument that this is just unprovoked Russian aggression. This is a conflict that was started by NATO and escalated by the United States and CIA that supported the Maidan coup, that overthrew a democratically elected government. Why are they ignoring that part? They do not want their audience to know that there was a conflict pre-2022. Now, actually, to wrap the segment up, I want to show you guys this segment from Chomsky. Here you go. So I'm bringing this up because I hope this hurts Kyle, because Kyle will say stuff like, "Oh, like I used to look at the Chomsky. I get my foreign policy chops from Chomsky," and just to show you guys how far to the right that they have drifted, Noam Chomsky is warning of the same thing that he called Jose ridiculous for. Because these people, they love to appeal to authority. So I'm gonna show you. Right. I'm gonna show Kyle and the Social Democrats. I know there are a lot of Social Democrats. They love them some Noam Chomsky, especially when election time comes. Yeah, you know, Noam Chomsky said vote for Biden. So let me show you guys what Noam Chomsky said regarding the Ukraine war, and let's see how. And this is what the position that Kyle calls crazy. Let's get to it.
For what the U.S. can do is stop acting to prevent negotiations. For a long time, there's no time to review the record, but the position of the United States has been to try to undermine possibilities of negotiations. They're not alone in this. So if you take a look at the Macron-Putin discussions up to a few days before the invasion, President Macron was indeed trying very hard to avoid the invasion by offering various options for a peaceful settlement. Putin, we have the actual transcript of this, no guesswork. Putin was dismissive at the very end, a couple of days before the invasion. He just dismissed it with contempt, said, sorry, I've got to go ice skating, something like that. So the U.S. is not alone, but its role has been to act to make negotiations harder to achieve, unlikely. That's as recently as late April, as far as we know. Well, one thing the United States can do is stop acting like that. Drop the position, the official position, that the war must go on to weaken Russia severely, meaning no negotiations. Would that open the way to negotiations? Diplomacy? Can't be sure. There's only one way to find out. That's to try. If you don't try, of course it won't happen.
So Boris Johnson, it was also widely recorded that Russia and Ukraine, they wanted to see a peace agreement. Zelensky was down, Russia was down, and then Boris Johnson interfered, and the UK demanded they don't reach a peace agreement. And what Noam Chomsky agreed, what Noam Chomsky just explained, nowhere to be found in Kyle Kulinski's discussion of this video. So when AOC is complicit with voting for weapons to Ukraine, that's her saying, yeah, I don't support the process of negotiation. I want Russia to lose. I want to fight to the last Ukrainian. So if you guys think we were being too hard on AOC, this is what the left looked like in Europe. This is Claire Daly. And now you guys see what kind of pathetic joke AOC is compared to Claire Daly. And this is why people had criticisms of AOC. And I don't know why Kyle Kulinski got come to their defense. So this is hold on, let me fix it. There's another video. And just to see the difference between what a real anti-war leftist looks like and what we get.
Onorevole Daly, ha facoltà di replicare.
Thanks, colleague. I would love colleague Jambaski to tell me any circumstance in which NATO has played a productive role or delivered peace anywhere. History has taught us that sanctions do not end military conflicts. They do not bring peace. They make the people suffer, not the oligarchs, the people of Russia, the people of Europe. And they're not going to help save lives, because the more arms you pump into Ukraine, the more the war will be prolonged, the more Ukrainians will die. And it might sound radical, colleagues, but the answer to war is not more war, it's peace. And peace isn't delivered by the barrel of a gun, it's delivered by diplomacy, by dialogue. You can wish away your continent's history, but we share a continent with Russia. We will sit down with Russia. There will be a negotiated peace, and this organization should be promoting it earlier rather than delaying it and making sure that more Ukrainians die. Your feigning of sympathy rings hollow. It makes me sick, to be honest with you.
So one of the people that Claire Daly is also talking about is AOC and the progressives. The AOC and progressives believe that we can bomb to peace. That is, why can't we get AOC to say exactly what Claire Daly just said? Do you guys think we're being too hard on AOC and Kyle now? We can't get one fucking progressive politician to said anything what Claire Daly just said.
It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, go ahead, CJ. I can write the segment there.
Yeah,
I mean, go after people for no reason. I wouldn't go after the squad if they got this right. You know how I would much prefer that. I wish I would have done a segment a year ago. I was like, man, you know what? I had a lot of criticism of Jake Uger. I had a lot of criticism of AOC, but I actually can't believe they showed to our March for Medicare for All rally. CJ, that's crazy. We would have did that segment if they got the Ukraine war right. I would be like, yo, you see that fucking video AOC calling out Ukraine funding? Bro, you see Cory Bush calling out NATO expansion? I'd much rather do that segment, guys. And they're AOC fans, the bootlickers on Twitter that was like, oh my God, nigga, he just always finding an excuse to attack AOC. Just don't get these crucial votes wrong. How is that hard to understand?
Right. Like if the person keeps getting terrible votes, what do you expect? But this is their lane now. They're the pro-nuclear war left, the pro-apartheid Israel left, the pro-war left. That's literally the label we could now give them, like people like Kyle and TYT. They are the pro-war left. How can you support this and at the same time be like, I'm anti-war, but you're anti-war in certain circumstances, which is weird. But let's kind of bring this back. We can close that segment, bring it back to the broader topic, Nick, of this sort of realigning of the U.S. left, realigning between, or the split between reformists and revolutionists, which we displayed in this first segment through what happened with AOC. You can see clearly, you know, who lands on what side. But let me just examine. I just want to run through this list. Let me just examine this list. So this is what I have written down. All elected progressives are terrible, though. And I'm just going to name the name, and you tell me if we have anything good to say or reflect back on. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, Bernie Sanders, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, Elizabeth Warren. Like, think about that list. And you can go on, you can go Beto O'Rourke, whoever else you want to add in there that's not really leftist, but name a person, that is delivering on anything that they said. It's not like it's partly being delivered. Like, name anything. So I'm saying that to say this. Look at this long list of elected leaders people put their hopes and dreams in and money into that aren't producing anything. There's a group of people who has said no more to supporting this nonsense. And then there's a second group of people who say, we're going to continue supporting this. That's literally what we have. It's no production in this strategy. So we're saying, let's do another strategy. And I'm using that to pivot to this, the next part in this sort of presentation. And we got to show the Tulsi video. It is a lot shorter video and it's kind of straightforward. People want to see what she said about AOC. So let's just quickly, it's less interrupting on this one, Nick, if you haven't seen it.
So I don't think I've seen this yet.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 minutes and it's pretty straightforward. But if you do want to interrupt, I mean, if you do have something to say, just
I've been wondering why, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, because obviously I don't pay attention too much on this, but I've been surprised I haven't seen Tulsi go after AOC more, right? Because she's been like the new right-wing media darling, right? She's the perfect profile, and she about to give AOC hell for quite some bit now, because she can play the woman of color angle on the right, going after AOC. So I'm surprised we haven't seen this yet. I'm surprised we haven't seen the Tulsi AOC beat that much. So I think they were probably waiting for this announcement to start it. I don't know. We see, but I'm down for it. Let's see. Let's watch this video. I had no idea about this. You kind of breaking this to me. So.
I'm breaking it. I haven't. I watched part of it, so I ain't gonna say that. I haven't watched all of it.
Yeah,
so
I haven't seen it. So
what happened to AOC? And do you see that same kind of heat on the street?
That
when
dude
you
is
go
the
out
biggest
and about
ever.
the Ukraine war?
I don't know what happened to her or what she believes in, but I hope everyone was paying attention to what those two young men were saying and paying attention to the pain and the anguish and the fear and the concern that they were expressing to their representative in Congress. The fact that she was so dismissive of them points to the bigger problem in Washington. One of the main reasons why I left this Democratic Party of today is because they have become the party of war hawks. We are literally sitting on the precipice of nuclear disaster. You hear these young men saying nothing else matters if we are all destroyed in a nuclear war that President Biden and the Democratic leaders in Congress have led us into, and they are completely failing in their responsibility, the president's foremost responsibility, to keep us safe, to keep us free.
Are there any Democrats that come to mind right now that are asking tough questions about the war in Ukraine?
Not a single one.
I think mostly those questions come from the right. Well, what happened on the left?
Not a single one. And Jesse, if you'll remember that $40 billion funding package that went to Ukraine, the very big one in the beginning, there have obviously been many since, but in that one, there was not a single Democrat in the House or the Senate that voted against it. Not a single one. I believe there was a total of 66 Republicans in the House and the Senate No Democrats. They have been absolutely silent. So these people are right. Where are the so-called progressives? Where are the peace champions, the AOCs, the Bernies, all the people who claim to be representing this movement? They're absolutely silent, and they are the ones leading us into nuclear war.
The protesters, you don't really see a lot of protesters on the street about the Ukraine situation. Why do you think that is?
I think
See, I swear, I'll be real quick. I'll just be real quick.
Mainstream
Yeah, let me
media
hold on. Let me
who
pause it. There you go.
I have a strong theory that this shit is all theory, right? And I told you guys, AOC and Bernie Sanders, they walked right into the trap, and I think this shit is on purpose, bro. Like, how do you allow Tulsi Gabbard, who is not anti-war, by the way, how do you let her drag you like this? Because I don't like Tulsi. We've roasted Tulsi many times on this, but in this segment, and you can point out to her hypocrisies, whether the fact that she likes some pro-war Republicans, the fact that she's friends with Sean Hannity, bro. Like,
right.
So anyway, but you can point to all that all you want. But what she is saying about Bernie Sanders and the squad is 100% true, and that is an attack they left open for themselves. So the people who apologize for AOC and Bernie, you guys don't even make any sense. They are hurting your movement. Because now, whenever people organize, like, oh, I'm organizing for progressive ideas. Now people are going to think, oh, are you a Ukraine supporter now? Bernie and AOC's embarrassment to the working class movement, and it's incredible that people apologize for it. And it's a shame that they are so bad they allow a lane for Tulsi to attack them on. But go ahead, let's play.
Yeah.
Let's finish.
And the thing is, as far as Tulsi, we've said this, or I know I've heard you say it specifically, at least in a tweet, and me. Like, I've never really even considered Tulsi on the left. So this wasn't a personal thing to me. Oh, she left and Democratic Party. Like, I'm not invested in the Democratic Party. I don't care. And I never really considered her left. So her going to Fox News, like some of these, white leftist media heads are, oh, we predicted this predicted what? She's never really been a leftist at all, but I guess
you can
take
find a
credit
tweet.
for it.
I don't have to dig it up. I don't know how to show you guys my old tweet, but I remember I tweeted. It was like sometime after the primary. I was telling people, like, if you're a Bernie supporter and Tulsi supporter, leave right now. And I remember Tulsi fans got mad at me. I'm like, God, nope, leave right now because it's gonna get embarrassing. Because my message then was, guys, stop trusting politicians. These people who stand Tulsi, these people who stand Bernie, these people who stand AOC. They make my stomach crawl. They make my skin crawl. Like, even when I supported Bernie, I was still friends with people like Mehdi. I was friends with a lot of people that criticized Bernie, even when I supported him, because even when I was supporting Bernie, I was like, oh, he's not above criticism. He definitely did some fucked up shit. I always tell people, like, the worst thing you want to do, and that's the mistake that Jose made, that people are capitalizing on, do not think these politicians are on your side. They're playing their role. Even Tulsi, when speaking truth here about AOC, is playing her role. And we got to understand that this class analysis and the class antagonisms, it cannot be reconciled through this political theater. And so what I mean, and to translate that theory to English, Tulsi is playing her class role. So what she's doing here is not in your best interest, even though she's telling you the truth here. They're playing a game the same way Bernie Sanders and AOC play a game. That's why I'm like, stop allowing these politicians to even be in a position to disappoint you. We should have more focus on the people instead of them anyway. Let's we can continue the video unless you have something you want to add.
Yeah, I do. So I'm all for leaving the Democratic Party, but if you're leaving the Democratic Party, because for me, I should not have to say I'm not going to to me, the Republican Party, that's why I'm really talking. It's a given they're terrible. Like, that's built into the system. Like, I don't need to say it's in the own duopoly narrative, they're the bad guys. I don't need to say that. But if you're leaving Democrats to go to GOP, to me, you're not even serious. If you're all your critiques, you're a war hawks, you're this, you're a capital, and all this, and then you say I'm going to vote Republican. It's like what does that mean? Like Kim Iverson did that. I was like what does that do?
I want to add something else. If you do that, you're probably the most unserious.
Right.
If you do that, you're so invested in the two-party duopoly that you feel like you got to make a LeBron James style announcement.
Taking my talent.
You're so invested in the two-party duopoly. Like, I'm leaving. I'm going to the other side. So people said Tulsi is. I see one person already. Tulsi independent. She stumped for a Trump supporter though. That's supporting the two-party duopoly. I do not care if you call yourself independent.
Right. Oh yeah.
Republican. So I see people. I see people say this all the time. Not to pick on you, not to pick on this person.
Just like with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is technically an independent, but he is so intertwined with the Democrats. He is a Democrat. It's the same thing.
This shit does not matter if you're stumping for a member of the two-party duopoly. Yes, we're not playing around. You can't say you're independent by stump for Republicans sometimes. Fuck out of here. That is garbage.
No.
Imagine if I was like, yo, I'm an independent, y'all. Then I went to stump for shit to leave. Y'all niggas will roast me. I said that. But Tulsi does that. Y'all don't blink. What the hell? If you stumping for someone in part of the two-party duopoly, you are an agent of that party. I explained it so many times. But anyway, let's we can continue the video if you want.
Using the same parroted pro-war talking points that the Democratic Party is using and not doing their job in raising important questions about how our taxpayer dollars are being used and what are the costs and consequences to the American people for these war hawks who are leading us into World War III.
You spoke recently about something, maybe it had something to do with your move away from the Democratic Party. I want to play some of that for the audience and you can explain.
What happens in our society
Speaking
when
of
we have
CPAC,
people
but you're
in the high
Bro, y'all think people get... Sorry, go ahead. You play the video.
Power who deny the existence of objective truth. What happens is then there is no such thing as truth. There is no such thing as reality. Truth becomes whatever the people in power at any given moment want it to be.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It's obviously a huge issue in and of itself, but the underlying one is even more concerning, which is when we have people in power who deny that there is such a thing as truth, then there are no boundaries to how far they will go. The truth becomes whatever they want it to be on any given day. And they have, as you talked about earlier, they have the power of the law and law enforcement entities that they are weaponizing and politicizing against those who refuse to comply with whatever their edict is of the day. And that is a dangerous thing for any democracy.
It's a dangerous road when you look
Tulsi
back
Gabbard
at history,
discovered
right?
how capitalism works. Tulsi Gabbard in 2022 discovers how capitalism works. Who
That's
do you
actually
guys
the
think
end of the
owns
video.
the
That's the end of the
media?
video.
Who do you guys think owns the media? Who do you guys think demonized MLK to the point where he had a 73% disapproval rating? Why do you think white people will have a hateful disdain towards black activists, the Black Lives Matter and Ferguson protesters? Because capitalists control the media and they demonize their enemies. So Tulsi has a bunch of normie supporters who hear her say this like, oh my God, Tulsi is so profound. Nigga, you explain shit that's very basic and you pretending that only one side is doing it. That's not impressive to me. I'm sorry. It's just her pretending only one side is doing this.
That's the point that I wanted to make, is that it's like this pretending that it's just one side is a problem. And that to me it makes me, I can't take you serious. Like if you're the way that you're coming at it, but go ahead.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not impressed. And I spoke about how I met Tulsi before. And I saw someone left a comment. I'm gonna answer this. I don't have it saved here. I wonder if I can find it. Someone asked me like, what is one thing that Tulsi is wrong on? And I want to show it up just because I want to take it as an education moment. So in Tulsi's latest tweet, Tulsi was like, one of the reasons why I'm leaving the Democratic Party is because they demonize the police. I spoke to Tulsi when I was in North Carolina when she had a campaign event, and we spoke on the issue of criminal justice. Because just like Bernie, she for legalizing marijuana, holding the police accountable. Now she's like, oh my God, the Democrats, who are funding the police more, by the way. She said the Democrats are demonizing the police. So Tulsi Gabbard is a class warrior for the rich, because Tulsi Gabbard is now apologizing for a fascist police state. So these are the people that you want to apologize for? Stop trusting politicians. We're not doing it here on Revolutionary Blackout. Tulsi Gabbard is a class loyal, partisan actor at the end of the day. But go ahead, CJ.
No, that was hang on a second. I think I'm gonna not cut the segment short, but there was another Tulsi video. I feel like we probably covered it enough, but I do want to add this part in there before we finish the segment, because it's also on Fox News, and it's Aaron Mate. I don't know if you had a chance to see this. Let me see if this is the video. No. It's my other screen. Sorry. Aaron Mate actually went on and Fox also on Tucker, I believe, and he responded also. So let's just look at that so we can close this segment, because it's on topic with oh wow. Let's listen to both of these. This is only a minute long for each, so let's listen to both of these. I think we got the time for this segment.
Look, Tucker, I'm someone who was very inspired by the squad when all of them first ran. I think all of them have shown courage, and I agree with the domestic policies that they supported, especially Medicare for all. And also, I'm a big fan of Chapo Trap House. I'm seeing their live show tomorrow. But right now, overall, the progressive movement, when it comes to the most important issue in the world, is dead. We have a proxy war against a nuclear armed power. The active U.S. policy, as Lloyd Austin made clear, is not to defend Ukraine, it's to weaken Russia. People like Lindsey Graham have said out loud that as long as we arm Ukraine, they will fight to the last person. And where are progressives on this? Every single time the Ukraine proxy wars come up for a vote, they voted in lockstep for it. Every single Democrat, including Bernie Sanders. Even as news has come up, sabotaged peace talks, even as Joe Biden, as you just played, openly says he won't negotiate with Russia to end this war. There is no force in Washington right now for sanity, calling for diplomacy, which I thought is what being a progressive is supposed to be about. Yes. And you saw in that clip a very angry expression from those protesters feeling let down by their progressive elected representatives.
Yeah, now let me play the second half of this video because it's in two parts. So let's play this second half. This one is about the same length. So let's listen. He continues.
Yeah, I mean, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is more anti-war than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she is, then we're an upside down world. Like, this is crazy.
That is a great point. Let me rewind that, audience. I know because that's a great point that even Tucker, and Tucker's, whatever you say, he's a racist, all that stuff. Everybody knows that. But listen to what Tucker says, which makes a great point.
Yeah, I mean, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is more anti-war than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she is, then we're an upside down world. Like, this is true craziness. Will this change, or is she in for as long as it takes too?
Well, look, a major problem in the Democratic Party has been the propaganda campaign known as Russiagate. For 6 years, Democrats have been taught to believe that Russia is an existential enemy that can brainwash millions of Americans into not supporting Hillary Clinton and swinging elections. And then now, accordingly, when it comes to this proxy war, that there's no point in negotiating with them, even though, by the way, Russiagate has been used to undermine a progressive agenda, not just being used to funnel billions of dollars into the military-industrial complex, but also has been used to sabotage progressive candidates. Remember Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders in 2016 came very close to winning the Democratic Party nomination. Hillary Clinton lost that race to Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton responded by blaming Russia for everything and concocting a conspiracy theory that Trump was a Russian asset. Bernie Sanders, instead of calling that out, went along with it, and he was rewarded in 2020 when he was surging in the primaries before Nevada. He was Russiagated. Some leaks were made that were accusing Russia of supporting him. So that's how the Democratic Party rewards even progressives who are loyal to their agenda. And if that doesn't wake them up, then maybe the increasing prospect of nuclear war should.
He laid it out perfectly. I think that's a good close to that.
I have a
part of it. Go ahead.
I have a quick statement I can do as well. I want to cut for later, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Because we probably gonna wrap. So I think you got another story, right? Do you got another one?
This is all kind of like just intertwined. I don't think I have another video, but I'll look and see. We double check.
Right, so we can, unless you have another story, we can wrap after this one. I think this should be like a quicker story because I got to do a police update. So we're gonna have on the activist summit. We're gonna have 10 demands We're gonna go through our demands, go through how you can organize and fight against this fascist police state. I want to see if I can find this video. Here it is. So I want to play the video, not a long video, and I usually don't play a lot of these police videos, and this video is kind of triggering in a way. So I want to give you guys a warning, but I think it's very important because now we're gonna end on a serious topic. We have fun. Now let's have the serious discussion that we need to have, and this is why Revolutionary Black. We do not play. The Democrat Party is not the lesser of two evils. The Democrat Party, heading to the midterms, are running on, oh, I'm not soft on crime. The Democrat Party is supporting the police state. You probably listened to our Ukraine-Russia coverage, and I see white liberals, especially on Twitter, reacting to the clips I put out in my tweets. They say, oh my God, you're a Putin sympathizer. I've been clear from day one. I do not care about Putin. I don't care about Xi in China. I have one enemy. My enemy is clear. I got laser focus. It's our fascist regime. The United States regime that imprisons 1/4 of the world's prison population is my enemy, not Vladimir Putin. That is not up for debate. Crime war, white liberals. I know who my enemy is. So while they're trying to fund the police more, they want to convince me that some leader I can't hold accountable that's doing nothing to me is my enemy somehow. So I'm gonna play this video, and I'm warning, this is a tough video because I'm gonna show you guys how this guy said America is terrifying. This is the reality of what the working class go through.
Hey Nick, I'm gonna mute my headset for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any reason why you're rolling the window up when I walk up to this car?
No, sir.
You had been driving it down for the past mile.
I just rolled it up.
All right, step out of the car for me. Step out. Do not shut that window. Open it now. Step out. Right here. Face that direction. Face that direction. Put your hands right here behind your back. Don't move. You understand? Why are you acting so suspicious? Well, you're rolling your window up when I'm walking up.
Why are you acting so suspicious? He's acting suspicious because he rolled his window up. And remember, in the regime known as the United States of America, if this guy mishears any of these the many directions that the cop is repeating at him, if he doesn't do any of these directions right, according to the right wing, the police have the right to kill him if he get any of these directions wrong. That's what they believe in.
On scene for a routine traffic stop. Ain't nothing going on. You roll your window up. What does that look like to me?
I mean, I'm just rolling it up because for my safety.
For your safety?
Yeah.
So to be clear, if you don't understand, he pulled this guy over because he rolled his window up. So in the land of the free, the police can pull you over, check you, and they have probable cause because you've been suspicious because you roll your window down. Do you guys understand why black people get stopped like 8 times more than white people? And why the police occupy our neighborhoods? And the same thing that this fascist Karen cop that we covered before, she said if she wants to pull you over, if she wants to fuck with you, they can find a reason. So we have this institution that's been infiltrated by white supremacists that work on behalf of the prison industrial complex to find cheap prison labor, and they find black people and they pull us over for no fucking reason. I remember I was hanging out with my friends one time. They pulled us over because they thought we were drag racing. Someone next to some random stranger they thought we were drag racing. Just check to see if we had a warrant or not.
Nothing. I rolled up my window.
Take off.
That's my dad.
Oh, sir. Yeah.
I rolled up my window.
320, give me a unit code now.
And he got mad because I rolled up my window.
Step right here.
I rolled it up.
Separate your feet.
That's what happened, huh? Yeah.
You're about to be arrested for blocking the roadway if you don't park and get out.
I rolled
Park over there.
I said I can. It's my right.
You are interfering with my job. You need to go park over there.
I rolled up my window like you said. It was my right to roll up my window.
No, it's not.
This cop said it's not his right to roll down his window. Look at the power trip. Look at the kind of person it takes to be a cop. And now it get worse as the video continues.
And now you're taking away. Just watch him. Must be what? Must be stand here? Yep. But yep. Arrest him. For what?
Put your phone down.
Blocking the roadway.
Put your phone down. Turn around.
No, man.
Nope.
For what?
Hey.
What? Hold on. What am I blocking? I'm not blocking any roadway.
Enough.
I am not blocking a roadway.
Right. Put your phone down. Put your hands behind your head.
Hey, run!
Does it look like this man on this sidewalk blocking the roadway? The cop they started arresting this guy because they were filming him, filming the cops, and the cops know they are wrong here. When the cops say you don't have the right to roll down your window, they know what they are doing. Do you guys think they're just getting this wrong? The cops know exactly what they are doing. They are a gang. They are thugs. They know what is going on. That is why you had Eric Adams, who is pledging that he want to get rid of people's ability to film police officers in New York. Stop giving these people the benefit of the doubt, and it gets worse. Trigger warning.
Yes, I hope you got this on video. This guy is arresting me for just standing here, and now he's taking my phone away.
He's taking his phone. He's taking his phone away because you know he got damning evidence on him.
Dude, oh my God.
Hey, you're gonna,
dude, what are you doing?
You're gonna get sprayed. Okay, spray. Put your hands behind your head.
My God, spray. I'm not even doing anything. Get that over here.
323, need more unit. Run code.
Dude, what the heck?
Stop. Stop.
Stay away.
This psychopath tases this guy while he is on the ground. Not because he fears for his life, not because the guy's a threat, because he's sending a message. How dare you question the police? How dare you film us? How dare you oppose your rights on us? So they respond, and you know for a damn fact, if it wasn't for videos, they will lie on the police report. They will say, "Oh, the reason why we tear gassed him because he was violently resisting us." The reason why the dad, we was gonna leave him alone, but he dashed at us with a knife. That is shit that you will say before body cameras. And I'm gonna show you guys this because I'm showing you guys why, as a working class, we should have no tolerance for these fascist occupying thugs in our community. And these are the people that the Democratic Party about to get 100,000 more on the streets, about to fund the police even more. So apparently, if only the cops had a little more training, had a little bit more money, they would have handled that situation better. So another point I want to make, because this also have a highlight part of this. I want to shock you guys first with that video. But I'm telling you guys, we are winning the public discourse. Do not let the mainstream media headlines trick you. Do not let TYT trick you. Do not let the Democratic Party trick you. There are these headlines. Let's see if I can find one, because I see quite a few of them. All these headlines saying the defund the police movement is dead. And they use the Democrat support for defund the police. And they are, well, the Democrats abandoned the defund the police movement, so the defund the police movement is dead. The reason why I'm showing you guys that video is because this stuff is happening all over the country at an escalatory rate. So more people are being radicalized. And if you guys think I'm wrong, I'm gonna show you guys these polling, something that mainstream media would never tell you. DJ, when the last time you seen mainstream media actually cover the polling on defund the police? They can't, guys. They've been trying to find every way under the sun to ask this question, and they can't find a way to ask it. And then they always say stuff like, "Oh, do you support the defund the police movement? Do you support Black Lives Matter?" And then people are so
conditioned, tribal too, yes.
And for some reason, they see that on a poll and they say, "No, I don't support it." But then, and I've seen this. This is the third poll I've seen on this. I reported on this multiple times. I know if you're new to the show, I'm sorry, if you're old to the show, you see me in my reports. If you're new to the first time you see me do this, I have covered many times how the media has been lying about the support of defund the police. Kulinski fell for it. And I did a segment debunking Cal Kulinski because he did a segment where he's like, defund the police is a bad slogan because only 1 out of 5 Americans support it. He read a bullshit headline that was asking a mostly conservative audience, do you support the defund the police movement? In that same poll that Kyle quoted, it showed that a majority of independents and Democrats support defund the police when asked this way. So Alec tweeted out, the results of the Loyola University poll should shake public discourse. It doesn't, and I'm gonna explain why it doesn't, because the media keeps hiding these stories. I've been reporting on this for 2 years now. And I'm gonna ask you guys before I read the results here, what left policy idea? And we have a long, and I am not trying to misrepresent this. We have a long way to go on criminal justice and defund the police. That's why I co-founded 10 Demands, and that's why I'm into activism. We got a lot of work to do. But what policy demand have you seen going from -35, which was recorded in 538 at the beginning of the George Floyd protest? It went from that to now he got majority support in 2 years. CJ, what policy have you ever seen do that? You guys know
Never.
how do you guys know how
with the propaganda? And this is with intense propaganda.
With all the propaganda, single payer has been in discussion for decades. It's popular, but it took a long time. The issue of housing, we're still not there yet.
Yeah, we're not.
Minimum wage is now supported, but it was a long fight to get people to support that. LGBTQ rights took decades. Like, there's so many examples of long fights. The defund police movement got serious in 2020, and then public support shifted so fast. I still can't believe it because I remember when I first covered this on the ground, I was telling people, like, when I first covered the poll, the 538 poll, where we was deeply underwater, I was telling people, like, I know this is bad news. I know this look bad, but we can't lose heart. We just got started. Maybe in 5 to 8 years, maybe in 5 to 8 years of hard work, we can get popular support. Nope, 2 years. I was underestimated. So let me read this because just in case for people only listening, 63% of conservatives, 68% of moderates, 76% of liberals support reallocating parts of LAPD's budgets to social workers, mental health care, and other social services. So pretty much what we are asking for in 10 Demands, part of our abolition project. That's exactly what the defund police movement is asking for. And I'm telling you guys, every single poll where they ask people this specific question, and the results is always like this. And Alec later covers, just because I want to speed my coverage of this up, the media always cover this up. This was the headline of the article of the poll we just read. They said most people in Los Angeles has a favorable view of the LAPD because they had one question. They said, how you view the LAPD? And I guess it said majority said favorable. So according to the poll, people are like, oh, well, I guess we view them favorably, but let's defund the motherfuckers. You can't find it in the headlines anywhere. You had to dive into this to find that. So you had the Democratic Party in the midst of this. Just be real quick. I'll quickly wrap this up. They all
no problem.
They all pledging to increase police budgets heading into 2022, while you have this massive energy against the police state and the massive propaganda that try to convince people that this is the wrong move. And videos like I showed in the beginning is why. And I want you guys to understand that this prison industrial complex is built by the Democratic Party, maintained by the Republicans. Jim Crow Joe built the system, and Democratic senators take more money from police than Republicans do. The LAPD is ran by Democrats. The NYPD is ran by Democrats. Eric Adams is a Democrat. Amy Klobuchar take the second most money from police in the Senate, and then she failed to prosecute Derek Chauvin years before she killed George Floyd. So people keep talking about the issue of white supremacy, and they talk about only Republicans. They talk about, oh my God, the Republicans are unhinged police state supporters. No, it's the Democratic Party. Joe Biden took COVID relief money and gave it to the cops.
To the police, yeah.
But, hey, Crystal Ball gonna tell you to vote for the Democratic Party because, hey, we get some labor action.
I mean, 1994 crime bill, Democrats. welfare reform, completely changed it when 70 some odd percent of the recipients were children. They changed it. Democrats, like these things, they don't understand this whole game that is being played by the ruling class is for the Republicans to flash, to get you scared, just for the Democrats to execute the same plan. You see, it's one ruling class. They don't have different plans of execution. I'm sorry, they don't have different plans to be executed. They just have different teams that's going to execute the same exact strategy. I do. Do we have a lot of super chats? Do you know?
We gotta do super chat soon. I see this comment. This comment's hilarious.
I was gonna say I do have another thing. Yeah,
I'm gonna answer this quick criticism. Wow, you're really disingenuous. Defund the police is a different message entirely from reallocate funds. So if you take funds from the police and take it to social programs, which results in them having less funds, which means they can hire less police officers, you did what to the police? Let's think about this. So Republicans do this all the time. They take funds from education and then they use that to fund their wars for corporate tax cuts. And then they, by default, defunded education. So while Republicans are pretending that defund the police is a radical idea, they are currently defunding education.
Right. They're doing it now.
It's not our fault that so many dumbass Americans did not understand the ask. When you look
they understood it. They understood fine. So how did they magically understand it when Trump got raided by the FBI? Well, how did they magically now know what defund means? Because they was all saying defund the FBI. So that was all bullshit. But here, this is the part I wanted to. This is the reason, because maybe that comment was just saying, let's stop using defund the police and let's use reallocate funds. That can be co-opted up the yin yang. Exactly. Reallocate funds. Yeah. Okay. And so let's talk about a thing called recuperation. This is literally the reason that those who claim, oh, I'm for it, I just don't like the slogan. This is literally the reason they want to change. It can't be co-opted. It can't be what's called recuperation. Exactly. Defund the police, that can't happen to that phrasing. There's no way to change that to mean anything else. That's why they need that slogan change so it can be co-opted. They can't co-opt it until the slogan change. This is the reason why we have to keep our foot on the pedal of the word or the phrase defund the police.
You're on point. We're going to explain this, and I'll pass to you today. We're going to explain this more on our 10 Demand segment on the Activist Summit. But when you look at our 10 Demand program, we have a whole step program how this works. And this is why they're trying to stop us from using the slogan defund, because it's part of our program. So if you defund the police and you give money to social programs, which is the ass, which is why that poll show people support defund the police, because that's what we want to do. First, you decrease the amount of police every year. We outlined this in great detail in Demands. So we realistic. We understand the path it takes. So you show up every year and you decrease the police budget as much as you possibly can get away with, give it to social programs, then they can hire less police. Then our theory of change, because we believe that by giving people health care, housing, and taking care of them, that you can decrease the crime rate. Having an actual functioning society is how you decrease the crime rate. So we take the money from our insane police funding, which is more than every other country spends on military. We take that, invest into the people, decrease the crime rate. This is my 10 Demand sister Zoya. That's the link to see our plan. So once you do that, because we know we are right, because we actually believe in people, we don't believe people are inherently evil. Once we have a functioning society, crime will then decrease. So then when you show up at that board meeting, we say, those 50 cops you kept in this town, why we need them? Why we need those cops? Why we should spend more on education? We decrease the crime rate. So it's a process. People have no idea. It's us. We are tricking the capitalists. We slow rolling people. Because people say, well, people are not ready for abolition. Yes, exactly. We slow roll it to you motherfuckers. And then if you look at the rest of our list with police accountability boards, reparation, all this stuff, it all designed to have the transition. So they don't even know our plan, CJ.
Nick, this is what they think. So if you're against this is your logic. You're basically saying, Nick, so you're basically saying people, a community. So let's take the highest crime rate city. Let's say that's Compton, only because I know the city. Let's say it's Compton. If we were to give everybody housing, give everybody a job that paid $50 an hour, gave everybody health care, what would be the need to have armed robbery? What would be the need to what is the purpose of it? You're trying to convince me that a person who has a job, health care, good living, not stressed out because of being overworked is gonna all of a sudden go, I got everything met, but I'm about to go out and start robbing a motherfucker. That's what they're trying to get us to believe, and it's you see how ridiculous it sounds when you say it out loud.
And the police state ideology is rooted in white supremacy, whether people know it or not. So the idea that if you disagree with my theory of change, that means you're saying that people are inherently bad and they cannot change, even if you provide for the material conditions. So the reason why people believe we need a giant police state in black communities is because they say, even if you provide those Negroes health care, even if you give them food, even if you give them education, those niggas still gonna be crazy. We don't believe that. So we are abolitionists. We believe in people. We know that once you provide for people material need, crime will go down. You always will have the insane abnormalities.
Name me a high crime rate city that has high income. Name one. You tell me that the highest crime rate cities don't very overlappingly align with the poorest cities. You can't. It is a direct connection. I think we can close it there unless you have more.
We can wrap because I wanted to just shortly explain the ideology so you guys can get after the defund. That wasn't part of the segment. I just wanted to explain that for some reason.
Yeah, no, I do. I have closing words though on just the whole realignment before we get into like super chats, and it's like 2 minutes. I do have some things written down. I just want to make sure because this is a real realignment that I need people to understand. Like you're seeing, like this whole episode, we're doing different segments, but it's really zeroing in, and this is a realignment of the U.S. left, specifically the realignment of the Bernie coalition. So let me just read you a couple of last notes, and if you want to chime in with your thoughts, but so what is the split about? What is this split about? Why would two different groups who claim to be anti-war, for example, come to two different conclusions when it comes to AOC and her pro-war record? In this case of hero worshiping, is this a case of hero worshiping going wrong? I think it is. Or is it bigger than that? Like, so, and let me continue. Is there anything that the Joe Biden administration is doing now that goes against progressive policies? If the answer to that is yes, my question would be, what are those policies and what has the progressive Democrats said publicly about those policies? So the point that I'm making there is that if we are progressives and you're fighting for progressive values, if war is bad, let's say if you're funding it, if you're saying, okay, if you believe this, let's say you're an anti-war person. I believe this. I believe the Ukrainians really would be helped by this money. Why aren't you voting to send money, but you're then going out stumping about how this war needs to be ended? Why aren't you doing the left part of it? Why are you only doing the neocon part of it? Like, why aren't you going, hey, Joe Biden, knock, knock. What's going on with the abortion thing, that Roe v. Wade that was just overturned? What's happening with that? Like, why the things that are happening under this Joe Biden administration that are against left policies? Why are so many progressive elected leaders quiet about it? That's the part I want to end on. And that's where we find the thought line for the realignment of the Bernie Sanders coalition.
Yeah, I want to start with the super chat before we wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sabby will be live in around 30 minutes on RBN for a Friday show. So make sure you guys check her out. A lot of great content on Fridays. I think she initially uploads on her main channel as well. So we got quite a few more content for you guys. So let's get into super chat. Bucky left the first one, but I think we read this one. We covered Kyle on AOC earlier.
Yes.
Thank you for the $5. Jane, have you guys seen the documentaries on YouTube, Born Rich or the 1%? I have not seen it.
I have not.
It would probably be infuriating for me to watch. So, Born Rich in the 1%. Oh, Jesus Christ! Can only
Just the
imagine.
names, huh?
Yeah,
Just the names.
I'm a classist, man. Rich people make my skin crawl for the most part, bro. Like, I don't get me wrong. I appreciate a good class trader for the most part, but the average rich person is insufferable. There have been studies that show that people lose their empathy, sense of humor. They're like people literally become mentally damaged after living a life of wealth and privilege, and it makes them very hard to socialize with. And there's like them looking down on people. I'm telling you guys, I used to sell cars, guys. I used to be around rich motherfuckers all the time. I used to sell like $100,000 vehicles to all these rich people. All our managers were rich. The GMs would come in, they were rich. The worst people of all time. They radicalized me faster than anything. Anyway, I'm just talking shit now. End the show. You know how it is. Anyway, thanks for $5. Zach, I am trolling Jank. Man, on Twitter so hard right now. He's getting destroyed. Also saw Nick's comments too. Man, I put in Jank.
What happened with Jank this time? Something happened with Jank that I didn't know in the world?
He the capitalist union buster. I'm gonna see if I can find it because I tweeted that it was a recent tweet. The capitalist union buster once again is trying to tell people who is a lefty. The guy who is pro-war, the guy who smeared Julian Assange. Here it is. Because once again, I know I can find it because it's literally a recent tweet. So if you guys don't know what he's talking about, I'm gonna share it real quick as we just having fun at the end of the show. So this is Jank. And I have some disagreements with some of these people too. Obviously, Tulsi and them, right? There are plenty of disagreements on the left, but one easy way to know who's not on the left is if they tell you that Tulsi Gabbard, Jimmy Dore, and Glenn Greenwald are true leftists. Usually followed by how Trump is for peace and AOC is for war. You guys see, this is what it's all about. It's all about defending AOC. These are all people who criticize AOC. That's what this shit is all about. So this is my tweet. I just said, you are literally a capitalist union buster who sounds like Tucker Carlson on criminal justice. Why the fuck do you think you can decide who's on the left or not? So that's what the super chat is about. Jank being a clown on the timeline. Once again. Thank you for the 199, Andrew. Kyle just begging TYT to take him back.
Wait, he was on TYT?
He was part of the network before the whole beef or whatever. Thank you for 499. I am 8. You guys are giving me hope again. Good to hear that. Thank you. I had to start work now, but as always, thank you for your truth and knowledge. Appreciate the solidarity and the great comments. Thanks for the 999 Christina. Thanks for covering Tulsi being a total fraud. And I've seen a lot of people, like AOC fans keep saying this as well, where they keep pretending that they're like, oh, well, you don't want to call Tulsi. Like, bro, have you guys seen our show? I've ripped Tulsi so many times.
Yeah, they don't have a comeback for us. Because they'll be like, yeah, you're just a Telfie. No, we're not.
I don't
She's
like
terrible.
none of these.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I
we
don't like
her
none of
either.
these motherfuckers. What are you talking? Like, and that's the Twitter. Like, why Twitter is not serious? Because every time I criticize one politician, if I criticize Bernie Sanders, people are like, oh, you're a Trumper. If I criticize Trump, they're like, oh, you're just a salty Bernie guy. If I criticize AOC, oh, you're a Tulsi fan. If I criticize Tulsi, oh, you're an AOC fan. I criticize Tulsi, and people are like, oh, you're just a salty burner. Then you campaign for Bernie, like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't like any of these politicians, you fucking idiot. I don't like any of them. Anyway, yeah, Tulsi, all these politicians, they're frauds. We don't need these people. Like, stop. And I'm gonna end with like a positive thought. We don't need them. Like, there are Tulsi people and there are AOC people that they stuck to them for some reason. Even if you think Tulsi is the shit, you don't need her. Even if, I just want to be clear. And that's something I learned because I am more disciplined than I used to be. Right? I was like, man, I'm gonna invest in the Bernie campaign. I'm done with that shit. Even if there's a politician that comes along and somehow I like the motherfucker, I'm not gonna rely on him. And let's say some person run. He got all my positions. He's calling out the Ukraine war. I'm still not gonna put the movement on his back. I learn better. I learn more now, and I'm trying to help you guys feel like that too. Last super chat, and I'll give you last word, CJ. Thank you for 499, Dave. Tulsi just criticized GOP and Trump on Rogan's podcast. That just happened. I didn't know about that. That's good for her. She did. I
know she was on there. I didn't know what she said. I haven't watched it. I only seen a clip because Majority Report clipped it, but they only clipped the part where she's talking about something they want to critique. Obviously, they didn't include the part that she's critiquing. Republicans. But last but not least, let's like the video, join our Substack so you get notifications. Are you doing any streaming this weekend? Or are you off this weekend?
Yeah, I think I'm take tomorrow just because I got like 2 segments I got cut. I did a segment today on police.
Yeah, we need to get.
And I did a segment on our last show yesterday that I got cut. That I was about to do today. I didn't have time though. So maybe no stream tomorrow just so I can focus on cutting some live. So, dude, it's so much editing, so much time. It take my computer.
Yeah.
I told you, Ron see my computer. It take my computer forever to download clips. So it take my computer like hours to download. Then it take me like an hour to edit. And then I got post on YouTube. It take like an hour.
Right.
So that's why, guys. That's why it takes me a long time. So I try. I hear you guys. I know you guys want more clips, but I try, and it's really hard with the tech I have. But I will try to post tomorrow. So, that's all I have. CJ, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, join our Substack. We're at 500 likes. Let's push to 525. You can read it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just one last super chat. Coming in. Thank you for $5, Jane. The documentary 1% is made by Heritage to Johnson & Johnson, and he take a critical look at his family wealth. All right, good.
I saw that one. I didn't know that was a name. I did see that one. I was
thinking it was like some crazy rich Asian style, like
no,
like wealth.
But they brought him back to the plantation though, because that was old, and he did it like when he was younger, and they he was young, rich, and saw what was happening, but they brought him back. It's been a while. They brought him back, so he's back on the plantation and back with what the family plans of Johnson & Johnson. But yeah,
for sure. That's all I have. Make sure you to check out Savvy. She's gonna be live in 30 minutes. And we got a busy week next week with the activist summit next weekend. So if you guys like the content, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share, and tweet about, share the activist summit, because we get a lot of views when we do these videos. When we do videos on AOC and the drama, but like
we want you to be with the real stuff. Help us with the activist summit.
Like when I do the video on the Black political prisoners, when I do like anti-war, when I do anti-immigrant, when I do Black issues, economic issues, when we talk about mutual aid, whenever I see the view counts on those videos, I'm like, all right, that's our real support. Those are the real soldiers, and everyone else is here for the sideshow. So the activist summit is where we're gonna be really talking about some. And highlighting some important left ideas. So that's next weekend. So I got next weekend gonna be wild. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we're gonna have to meet a couple of times. But to your point, I thought the same. I was thinking the same thing when I was doing the I am the revolution things. Like when I'm getting those views, I'm like, okay. These are the real people that's here. That's not just here for the eye candy. They're here for this struggle and for this thing. So we're gonna take everybody out with the KC Tenants video that one of the ones that Nick has posted. So that'll be our outro video.
I'm working on it.
On it. So this is one of Nick's videos. So this will be the outro video. The stream will end at the end of this video. Nick, any last words before I play the video?
Have a good one, y'all.
All right, have a good one. We're signing off.
Okay, in the next few weeks, KC Tennis Power will organize to win $50 million to house the people. Did you hear me? I said $50 million for the people. Hey. On the November ballot, question 2 will ask us to authorize funding for truly affordable housing. So we are going to knock on 25,000 doors to pass that bond. When we win, let's be clear, that was the people who secured those funds.
Yep.
And it should be the people deciding how they're spent. Later this fall, we will be holding listening sessions to understand our neighbors' priorities for this city. We'll cover topics like policing, transportation, and of course, housing.
Yep.
I want you to put your hand up in the air if you want to join one of these sessions. Drum roll, please.
She's awesome.
We got this election coming up next year. Did y'all know that? In 2023, KC Tenants Power will educate the people for this fine city about election issues and candidates. Listen up. We will make endorsements. If any candidate wants to represent the people or speak on our issues, they gotta come through us.
Let's go.